Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this special program from the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy. My name is Mary Ann, and I am the Education Director at the Conservancy. We are a nonprofit organization based on Cape Cod, which is a region in Massachusetts. And we work in white shark conservation. So through research, public safety, and education, we are trying to ensure that we have white sharks, not just today, tomorrow, but we have them for future generations. And we are really excited this afternoon because we have some of the next generation of shark conservationists joining us. This whole week, we have had Shark Conservation Career Week. And in looking at careers, depending on where you want to go when you grow up and what you want to do, a big part of that could be going on to college. Whether it's a 2-year, a 4-year, or going on for a master's, PhD, a lot of career options will include that college component. So we have been fortunate over the years that we have had many volunteers who started volunteering with us because they had an interest in sharks and they knew that they wanted to work with sharks one day. And now they are all getting ready to go to college, or they are in college now. So we asked them to join us live on this panel to share their college search experience with all of you at home. So as we're going through today, we have some questions that we're going to have these guys answer. But absolutely, for anyone at home, we wanted to do this for all of the high school students and maybe even junior high students who, are thinking about their future. But we know right now, you're not able to actually go on those college tours or visits. So hopefully hearing from these guys can give you some ideas and maybe some schools that you can investigate on your own. We know a lot of schools are offering virtual tours in some way, and a college website has so much to offer under their admissions page. So hopefully this can at least lead you into a digital search so you can start that process. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start off by having everyone introduce themselves by sharing, who they are, where they're from, and either where they're going to school or where they've started and what year they are. So Julia, can we have you start introducing yourself, please?
Hello, I'm from Bridgewater, Mass. I've been volunteering with the Conservancy for about 5 years now, and I'm finishing up my freshman year at the University of New England. So
excellent. And you're finishing it virtually, right?
Yes, it's all virtual. It kind of sucks, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah. All right, and how about Lindsey? Can we have you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Lindsey. I'm a senior in Harwich, Massachusetts. I got involved with the Shark Conservancy through my school's internship program. And next year I'm doing the two-year program with my local community college.
Excellent. And let's go, I think I'm following down. Isabel, can you introduce yourself for everyone?
I'm Isabel. I grew up in Providence, Rhode Island, but summering in Chatham, Massachusetts. I have volunteered and now worked at the Conservancy. This will be my 6th summer, which is pretty crazy. I am a sophomore at Brown University, majoring in public health and public policy. And right now I'm finishing virtually as well.
Excellent. And how about Zach? Can you introduce yourself for everyone?
Hi, my name's Zach. I'm from Newton, Massachusetts. I've been with the Conservancy for 1 year now, and I'm a senior at Proctor Academy, and I'm going to Tulane University next year.
Excellent. And Allie.
Hi, I'm Allie. I'm coming from Pembroke, Massachusetts. I've been volunteering with the Conservancy since 2018, and I love it there. And I'm going to be studying marine biology at USF, University of South Florida, next year. So that's fun.
Excellent. Well, we want to thank all of you for joining in with us today to talk about that search process that you went to, or you went through to choose a school. So let's first start out, and we'll just kind of round through by talking about, once you started thinking about schools, how about first, how did you even generate the list? Where did you look to actually figure out what schools you were going to have to, or you thought you were going to tour, or you were thinking about applying to? Was it a website? Was it a college or high school advisor? But how did you generate that list of schools that you were going to start investigating to see if they would be a fit for you? Julia, do you want to start by answering that one?
Sure. So I just Googled searched good marine science schools that are up in New England because I didn't really want to leave New England. So that's how I did it. And I found a bunch of schools that were really good, and I ended up touring 4 of them. So
Okay. And how about Zach? Let's bring that one because I liked how Julia just noted she knew that she wanted to stay in New England, but you've selected Tulane. So how did you take the approach? Because clearly you knew you would be okay getting out of New England.
Yeah, so I go to school right now in New Hampshire. So it's really cold there and there's a lot of snow. And I was kind of done. I'm done with the cold at this point. I wanted to go somewhere warm. So I decided to look more south for school. So, and then I found Tulane and I loved it.
Okay, excellent. And similar, Allie, because you also are going to be leaving New England. How did you, start selecting schools that you were going to look at?
I've known for a long time that sharks are what I wanted to do. So I definitely wanted to study sharks down south. And I looked at the professors at each school and what kind of research they do with each different kind of shark. So that's how I picked mine, was I wanted to do the research that my shark professor is doing at my school on makos. And that's how I picked.
Okay. And so this was great because we just had, three different people, who explained it was really 3 different reasons and what started to help them narrow down their search. Looking with Allie, you knew it was going to be a research focus. You started looking at research projects. For Zach, warmer climate. You knew you wanted to get out of the cold of New England, but have that marine science background with what you were going to be doing. And then Julia, you knew you wanted to stay up in this region as well as that marine science. So you went for the Google route, right? Google's great. And how about, for all of you guys looking at, that initial thought process of trying to think about what you were going to study and then trying to find the school that was going to be a fit for you. So Isabel, I'm going to throw this one at you first because having known you when you were doing the college search, there were so many things you had interest in and you didn't know how you were going to, turn them into career. So how did that affect your college search?
So something that was really important to me was getting a liberal arts education. So being able to study a little bit of everything, because I know I love sharks, but then I also know I love political science and stuff like that. So I was really trying to find a way where I could kind of mesh those two. And so I started, as my mom works in college placement, so building my list horizontally, she says. And so you find what is really important to you in a school by looking at all different schools. And then I ended up choosing Brown because it had a really good public policy program, and I eventually want to end up doing marine policy, which is what I discovered. And also, although there isn't a marine program, I'm doing a lot of research for a professor on fisheries. And in high school, I also found ways to do that. So really like finding your niche there.
Awesome. And how about Lindsey? Since you mentioned you're doing the two-year program, so it's the bridge program. And for anyone who's not familiar, here in Massachusetts, a lot of the community colleges offer these type of programs where you do 2 years at the community college, and then you can go on to any of the state universities to finish your for a bachelor's degree in 2 years. And correct me if I'm saying any of this wrong, Lindsey. But since you were looking at going to that program, how did you figure out which of the community schools or state schools would be the best fit for you based on what you wanted to do?
For me personally, I picked UMass Boston for where I want to transfer later on. I picked that mostly because of the area. I've always wanted to go somewhere urban since I grew up in Harwich, which is a very suburban area. And I wanted to get that outreach and be around a lot more people than I have been here and meet new kinds of people and that sort of thing.
Awesome. All right. So how about for all of you guys, and we can just trying to think about going at a loop. But let's start with you, Julia. How many schools did you actually tour? And then how many did you end up applying to?
I ended up touring 4. I toured at Unity College up in Maine, University of Maine, and URI, and University of New England. And I ended up only applying to 3 of those schools. I wasn't really a big fan of Unity or UMaine because, I wanted like a hands-on learning approach. And a lot of those schools were in the middle of the mountains. where there is no source of water or anything for like miles around, but University of New England was like right on the Saco River. So that was like one of the big like things that I was looking for.
And how about you, Lindsay?
For me, I wasn't actually able to tour any schools because of my financial situation, which is another big part of the reason that I chose to do the two-year program. And after like discussing a lot of those factors with my family, I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew that this was the program for me. So I only applied to that one school. Yeah.
Okay. And how about you, Isabel?
So I toured 13 schools, and it's interesting because I only ended up applying to 6 of them, so less than half. But then I ended up applying to 15 schools in total. So it was kind of about like finding what I liked in a school by touring, because I toured like all different kinds of schools, and then building my list based off of that.
Okay. And how about Zach?
I'm not sure the exact number of schools I toured. I think it was probably around 8 or so. And then I loved Tulane when I saw it, and I also really liked UVA, and those were 2 schools that I needed to apply pretty early for to get a better chance of acceptance. So I was also doing an off-campus program where I wasn't gonna have access to applying to schools, so I just applied to those 2 schools, ED at Tulane and EA at UVA. And then, so those are the 2 schools I applied to out of the 8.
Okay. And Allie?
So I toured 12 schools, and I focused on the schools that were really far away because I wanted to be very comfortable where I was, knowing where I was, if I was actually taking that leap and going, to Florida or Carolina or places like that. Sorry, my dad's calling me, but I did tour a ton of schools, and then I found out what I did like between like distance and where I was, and I was actually okay with being that far away.
Awesome. And I love how a lot of you guys just noted and, made that point to people, how being able to, tour and actually get the feel on the university, you toured a lot more than you actually ended up applying to, right? So you realize that some, through that tour experience, some would be a good fit for you and others maybe not so much. So, leading to that, and why don't we, go right ahead in that, what were the features about the school? And maybe when you answer this question, you can remind everyone, which school it is that you're going to. What were the direct features that really made you choose that school once you were accepted into it? So Julia, if you want to start.
A lot of the schools that I was looking at, their Marine Science Center was not on campus, which was really difficult for me to wrap my head around. And being a freshman, you're also not allowed to have your car on campus, which was also a problem for me because like how are you supposed to get to class? But at the University of New England, the Marine Science Center is right on campus and it's right next to the beach. So it was like a perfect match for me.
Excellent. And Lindsay, I know you already touched base a little bit that part of your choice was really based on the financial reasons, but what else about, the program at Four Cs, helped you make sure that that was the right choice for you?
I actually went to it was sort of like a field trip program with my school called Waterworks Marine Career Fair. And it showcased a lot of like the local things you can do in the science field while at the community college. Like over the summers, you can do water testing and loads of volunteer programs. And I know that those sort of things look really good on resumes later on. So knowing that I had those opportunities available while going to community college was something that helped me pick.
Okay. And how about you, Isabel?
So something that's super unique about Brown is that it has this thing called the open curriculum, meaning you have no gen ed requirements. So that was really appealing to me because I had so many different interests, but they weren't necessarily like math and Spanish. Like I really liked marine science and public policy. And so Brown having that open curriculum allowed me to take all the classes that I could without having to take like all the general requirements that a lot of students do freshman and sophomore year. So it really allowed me to like build my own education which I really liked. And also the size and the location. I like an urban school.
Sizes, I think, is an important one for people to think about, especially knowing where you have grown up and what you're used to. Some of these bigger universities, it's a big change to be able to go into. So size is a great point for people to think about. How about you, Zach?
So I was looking for a school that would be able to, like, I could pursue marine sciences there, but say that didn't end up being what I wanted to follow. I wanted a school that was strong in all aspects of it, so I could switch a major easily. And also, I was lucky enough to kind of know that Tulane was where I wanted to go when I toured there. I kind of got a feeling the moment I stepped on campus. So for me, I was really lucky in that I found where I truly wanted to be.
Awesome. And I think that's another great point for people to think about is, there's so much in schools now about, thinking about your career early on. But for some people, they don't have the opportunity to actually investigate or experience if that's the career they want to do or not. So in thinking about a school, thinking about, well, this is what I think I want to study, but if I realize it's not what I want to do, what else could be there to support you? So I think that's a great point for people to realize and think about. How about you, Allie?
At the end of it, for me, it really did come down to 3 schools. And I was really I didn't know how to pick between them. So I made a college SAT. So I took factors like educational factors. I did campus factors and then personal preference factors. And then I scored them all up, and then I standardized them, and that's how I picked. So it was kind of down to the numbers for me because they were all similar in price. Price is definitely a big thing. And research and what I was going to get to do, it was all really similar. So this made it a lot easier.
I love that. You made your own SAT point system to help you choose which school it was going to be.
Yeah.
And that does bring up that, other great point. And I don't know, and this one I'm going to leave open if anyone wants to touch base on it, but in terms of scholarship and financial aid and that whole side of it with the application process. But for any of you guys, did that become a part that weighed into your decision, was getting those financial aid packets back or scholarship information, from the school? Did that kind of help make a decision or maybe steer you from one school to another?
For me, Nova Southeastern University gave me the opportunity where they would give me grants to do my own research if I double majored in research and marine biology. And while I really liked that, that I would get that money, it still didn't bring it down to the price of USF. So that's kind of why, but I did get that financial package and it was coaxing.
And that is something, for people to think about and have that conversation with your family, that as you go through the college process, and it is something you can talk when you go on tours, but finding out, how their financial aid systems work. And even when they reveal that information, because for some of you guys, I know the acceptance came, but then information on financial aid and all of that didn't come until later, right? You can just nod your head, yes or no. Yeah, so some of that information came out later. All right, so some of the questions that have been coming in, and I think that these are great questions from, people who are viewing. A lot of them are curious about your volunteer experience at the center. So a lot of the career professionals that we've been talking to in the morning during our online programs have all noted that, it's good to get involved, expose yourself to the career field that you have interest in. So we have some folks who are asking what you do as a volunteer for the Conservancy, and how you became a volunteer, how you learned about the volunteer opportunities. So Lindsey, why don't we start with you, because your experience has been a little different than anyone else.
Yes, so I started with the Shark Conservancy through my school's internship program. So we got in touch through the teacher who runs it and met a few times before we started in this early spring. Right now, there's nobody there because all the construction has been going on. So I haven't been interacting with people who are coming in to experience the Shark Center like I would believe other people who are here have. So we set up just a few projects to work on, like a lot of graphic design projects. So designing the new map that will be used this summer, and a research project on the chain dogfish sharks that are at the center as well, and just those sorts of things. And just being in the office and everything like that.
Awesome. Yes, you have had, there's always that line in a description, other responsibilities as needed. And Lindsey's definitely helped us with some of the odd things that we do during the winter. How about Isabel? Do you want to talk about, your track? Because you have been with us for quite some time now, and how you've gotten involved with everything through the Conservancy.
So I started volunteering going into my junior year of high school for the Conservancy because I was in Chatham for the summers, and kind of growing up like with the whole shark phenomenon on the Cape and everyone starting realizing that they were here made me interested. And so my first summer there, I just volunteered for the Shark Center, and then I became the high school intern, I think my second summer there, where I learned a ton every single year, and I kind of just kept building on that. And then now last summer, I became the naturalist. So I am actually employed by the Shark Conservancy, which is a really amazing opportunity that I have. And I go on the white shark expeditions. And so I actually take people out with the Chatham Bars and Boat and Captain Josh and Wayne, who were on the Facebook Live earlier today. And we go and we see white sharks. And so, yeah, I've been there for a while, and I've definitely kind of grown up with the Conservancy, and I love my job.
You have. I mean, a lot of you guys have grown up with us. But yes, and if anyone did not watch our interview with the boat captain, Josh Higgins, and our spotter pilot, Wayne Davis, this morning, I highly recommend you go back on our feed and watch that because they did a great job talking about their roles and what they do to get into the career position that they are now in. How about you, Julia?
So I started volunteering when I was a freshman in high school, and because my school requires us to do 60 hours of community service. So since I've always had this fascination for sharks, my dad ended up reaching out to the Conservancy, asking if there was anything that I could do for community service. And I ended up volunteering at the Shark Center that summer. And I've grown from doing that every summer to like doing outreach positions at Shark in the Park. And I was even up at Boston Sea Rovers with them one year, which was really fun. So.
Awesome. And Zach, you're one of our newer volunteers. Do you want to talk about, you joining us last summer and what you did?
Sure. I worked in the Conservancy, or volunteered in the Conservancy last summer, and I worked the VR room. That was where I was. That was my domain. And so I would help people out, put the headsets on them, and play the video. And it was cool. And sometimes I helped make shark tooth necklaces, which I did really enjoy.
And you got pretty good at making shark tooth necklaces towards the end of the summer.
Yeah, it was fun. It's a skill of mine I have now. So
I hope it's on your resume now. I really do. All right. And how about you, Allie?
I started volunteering coming out of my sophomore year of high school, and I loved it. The way I found you guys was actually my Aunt Shannon knows Marianne. She was like, oh, here's her number. I was like, okay. And so I just texted you out of nowhere, and I guess it worked out. And I found that I love volunteering there. I love public outreach. I love doing interactive learning with kids, adults, anything in the center. I love that kind of stuff. And I like getting information out to the public to inspire awareness and conservation. I love that whole message. So it's really fun.
Awesome. So for those of you who are watching, some big takeaways from what everyone just explained, as we have been saying all week, volunteering is a really great way that you can get involved and just get exposure into one of these career fields. So looking for opportunities, and, sometimes it's not always easy to find something that is local to you. Some places there are age restrictions in how you can volunteer. But like Allie said too, just reach out to friends and family that you know, because you never then know how those connections can take place. For volunteering at the Conservancy, you do need to be at least 13 years old to become a junior volunteer. And then volunteer positions at the center We usually start around 16 years old. We do have some positions that maybe sometimes we can allow some younger folks in. But the center for us is our big volunteer opportunity, and we usually start volunteers there. And then we have different outreach opportunities in volunteering as well. But note that for everyone here who's volunteering, for us, we really don't have the volunteer opportunities on the water. Some organizations, some aquariums offer that type of volunteer opportunity. We don't. Isabel noted how she works now in our ecotourism department. So she has that opportunity to go under the water, but that is a employment opportunity that Isabel now has, that she's worked her way up towards, through her volunteering efforts. So just I want to give that shout out to everyone. And so if you have interest in volunteering with us, you can follow along on our website, and you can send an email into info@atlanticwhiteshark.org. One of the other questions that came in, and I'm going to open this up to anyone, but for someone who wants to go on and study science in college, what classes do you suggest that they actually take right now in high school? So what were some of the classes that maybe have been really beneficial to some of you guys?
I took AP Bio my senior year of high school, and it really helped just because a lot of the lectures my first semester was just, review from what I learned. And it also got me prepared for the amount of coursework that was going to be thrown at me in college. So I definitely recommend taking AP classes. Yeah.
I also took AP Bio. I took it my junior year, and it's a really good opportunity to get like a good grasp on all the different types of biology, I guess, from like micro to macro, more environmental stuff. And I think it gave me a lot of perspective on how much I like it and that sort of thing.
I took AP Chemistry and AP Biology my junior year. And what helped me was understanding that I need to gain a basis of these subjects before I move on to college in a lecture hall or in a bigger classroom where I may not be able to ask those personal questions. And that's what really helped me, because they are tough subjects. They are really tough. And I know if I was thrown into a lecture hall, I would not be able to handle it the way I did in a small classroom.
And Isabel, I'm going to call you out to answer this one as well, because for you, it's a little different. You want to go into policy. And for you, you knew with that, you were looking more at the liberal arts. So was it science classes for you, or what other classes were really beneficial for you, while you were in high school?
So for me, science definitely helped a lot, because now I'm not really taking as many science classes as someone who's maybe studying marine biology in school. So definitely for the research I'm doing now on fisheries policy, those like AP Bio, Chem, Physics, which was really hard for me. Those all helped me, not only like the subject matter, but the way of thinking that comes along in those subjects. But then also really appreciating like English and history for what I want to do. Public policy helped a lot with my writing. So definitely focusing on everything, and also math is a big thing. You pretty much have to take math for whatever you do. I'm in a math class right now, and so definitely pay attention in math.
Megan is going to sing your praises for noting math to everyone at home right now. And I recommend math to everyone because math is really interwoven at the college level. You have to hit prereqs in math to then take the courses you want to in science. And that was not my specialty. That's definitely where I struggled when I was in school. So building up on those math courses, I think, is really important. And to what Allie said, so you can get exposed to some of that higher content stuff before you go on and you're in a bigger lecture hall for some of that material. Another question that came in was looking at, for all of you, how did you know you wanted to, what was it that led you to sharks or marine science? How did you guys come to this point that that was what you were going to want to go to school for? Zach, can we hear from you maybe?
Sure. So my whole life I've had such a deep love for the ocean and just being in it and around it. And my love for sharks I'm on the Cape, I'm surfing in the summers, so I have to deal with like hearing about it and just seeing it all the time. So I kind of wanted to learn more about it, and I figured that's the best thing to do is join up with the Shark Conservancy.
Awesome. Thank you. And I think that that's great. You know your livelihood, or, what makes you happy, being out there surfing. I wouldn't say it's your livelihood yet. I don't think you've gone pro yet on us. But, you wanted to learn more about it because, it affects what you do. And so you felt if you could be knowledgeable in it, and just your love for the ocean. We've had a lot of people who have been on this week say, if you can go into a career about something that you're passionate in, then going to work every day is actually going to be enjoyable. So I think that's great. Anyone else want to answer this one?
For me, I had no idea what I wanted to do until I got into like my sophomore year of high school-ish. I realized I was interested in biology and marine biology when I started sailing for our high school sailing team, and just being out on the water and literally sailing with the seals right next to you and that sort of thing. That got me really, really interested in especially marine biology.
I've always loved the ocean ever since I was little, but it wasn't until I got my diver certification and I went on the first dive where I saw my shark, where I realized that I really, have a passion for these animals, and like just seeing them up close and how peaceful they were with me was just a game changer.
For me, it's actually interesting because I always loved the ocean, and that's kind of what led me to the Shark Conservancy. But then once I started volunteering there is really when my love for sharks came about. So kind of by just like taking an opportunity and seeing what you get out of it can really lead you to like a great passion that you have. So that's my advice, to take like every opportunity that you possibly can, because you never know. Like it's literally changed my life. So you never know.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for answering those questions. Those were all the big questions that we had that came in from our viewers. But do you guys have any last bits of advice for anyone who is going through the college search process now? Any notes for anyone?
I would say I didn't go through the college process like during a time like this, but take advantage of as many virtual tours and stuff as you can. Get to know the colleges that you're applying to as well as you possibly can. And then also, like in a time like this, stay involved with organizations that you care about. Keep doing things to build your resume and expand your interests, because that's still really important.
If I was to give like any advice, I would definitely keep in mind what your quality of life would be like there. Talk to people who are at the schools you're planning to go to and how they like it. And then think of quality of life after. Like, is this school really going to prepare me for grad school if that's what you want to do? Or what's it going to look like? What exposure does it give me to opportunities when I want a career after college? Things like your college will set you up for are really important. So I'd look into that.
Awesome. Great pieces of advice. Anyone else? You can just shake your head no if. All right. Well, I want to thank all of you guys, for everyone who's watching at home. All 5 of these guys have been incredible volunteers, and we're so grateful to everything that they have done for us at the Conservancy. And we're so proud to see you all going on to work, in the conservation field in some way. Big congratulations to Zach and Allie and Lindsey, who are graduating seniors. We hope that some sort of celebration will take place for all of you, but we're very excited to have you graduating. And we thank everyone for tuning in at home. Hopefully this helped give you some ideas and start thinking about that college process. So thank you all for being a part of our panel. Thank you everyone who joined in and watched. And we are going to wrap it from here. Thank you guys so much, and we hope everyone has a great night.